Welcome back to Super Tuesday Recap. This is your host, Chris here. And D-Palm, we are here back to talk Arrow. This is season 6, episode... Oh, what episode is this? 7? No, 6. 6, right? Yeah, it's episode 6.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's episode 6.
It's episode 6, yeah.
It's episode 6. So, episode 6 is Promises Kept. As Slade continues to uncover clues about his son's last few years, Oliver makes a big decision. No, he doesn't. Really? That's not what happens.
Yeah, he does.
He does. He does make a decision. Meanwhile,
he says he's happy.
Huh?
He says he's happy not being the Arrow.
Oh, okay. I guess okay. Meanwhile, the Green Arrow, Diggle, leads the team in a battle against the Dragon, a villain who's stealing valuable tech in Star City. Let's start with Diggle and the Green Arrow because I did not see this coming. I did not see them moving this fast with his whole drug addiction thing. And
I mean, something's about to get worse.
Thank you. Okay, so it's not just me, because
no. That sense of dread is your knowledge of how this works.
Because that's where I got super scared when he told Lila. I was like, first of all, I was glad to see her back. I'm like, oh, okay, so you still do have a wife, and you're not just making googly eyes at Dinah. Okay. It's gonna get. I think that's still part of what's gonna get worse, but okay. Then when Ricardo Almeida shows up, I'm like, okay. Ricardo Almeida. Kirk Alceveda. Remember his character from somewhere else. Kirk Alceveda shows up as Richard Dragon. I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I know you're a bad guy, so I know you're probably also the guy in the at the beginning who had the, where they were getting the 3D printer. So you're probably and you're selling these drugs to Diggle, and like you're all in all this shit. I know you are, because you're just Kirk's the bad guy. He has a bad guy face. I'm sorry. He plays his
comeback every time.
Yeah, this is what it is. Like he's always, even if he starts off as a good guy, he comes back as fucking bad guy. He just what it is. And so I'm just like, okay. Then when you find out that he's the one that controlling the drugs, and Diggle, so you're seeing him shake even more. I'm like, okay, this is gonna get bad. He tells Lila, and then when he tells the team, I'm like, wait a minute. So did we just resolve this? No, this is not good. No. This is not good. We did all this. Because we found out Diggle's been Green Arrow for now, 3 episodes?
Yes.
I think it's been 3 episodes. And we find out about the drug problem in episode 3. Oh, bro, this can't be good. This can't be good.
It's coming. It's coming. The name Richard Dragon should matter to a lot of people. This is not. None of this is done.
Yeah, you're right, because they didn't.
Here for it.
Oh, no, I'm definitely here for it. I'm definitely here for it. But it's just like, I am so frightened now for what's going to happen for the team, because, dog, there's no way. I don't want to say it ended too neatly, but it was just like things that we had brought up and we had mentioned, like even up to the end when Curtis was like, "Bro, I'm kind of upset because you didn't come to me first." Like, Felicity's walking because of technology I helped perfect. Why didn't you come to me? He's like, we'll start tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they'll work that out.
And you and I said, they were like,
Right. And I'm like, and everybody's just like, it's okay. And then when Renee was like, oh, man, yeah, I guess, if I count the number of times you saved my life or the number of times you almost got me killed, it's not even a question. And everybody was just like, okay. Dinah's still giving him googly eyes, even though she's holding secrets back from him because of her ex husband / boyfriend, who's vigilante now, all that stuff. But still, it ended too nicely, and I'm just like, no, the Arrow never does this, so this is not good.
Real bad.
Real bad. Not
all
good.
Bad news.
All bad news, and it's not any good news for our man Diggle or anybody else involved. This is gonna go down horribly. Like I said, Richard Dragon's not dead. He's probably escaped somewhere. God forbid he hooks up with 'cause that's the thing for me. If he hooks up with Black Siren and what's it, Kincaid? Is that the guy's name?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and they hook up.
So they built his anti-team.
Yeah, and they built. and that's gonna be a fucking problem. And then come to find out, and then let Dragon find out that Diggle's the one that he was giving drugs to.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, this is not. See, this is where I get my knot in my stomach from Arrow, because I'm just like, you're gonna fuck with us, and it's not gonna be
Real
good.
bad.
Not be good. So that's that. I mean, that was the biggest thing for that. And I like how they, again, I still think it's a bold move, and it's worked out really well. That Diggle's been Green Arrow. That they call him the Green Arrow, and they move forward with that. And this week, did they do the opening?
I don't remember. I watched it almost live. I think I don't remember.
I don't think they did, because I did I had it on DVR, but I don't remember them doing the opening this week. I know they showed us some flashbacks with Slade, but that was about it. And then I think they went right into the episode. So I don't even think they did the normal Arrow. My name is Oliver Queen. I don't think they did it this week. Maybe they did, and I just missed it. But yeah, like I said, I want to give a shout out to them for doing this. Like, I didn't think they'd when we said they were going to do this, we were like, Oliver will be back in the suit in a week. And that has not happened. So
it is not at all.
And I'm starting
a little awkward.
And I'm starting to think that even though we know he gets in the suit for the crossover, that it's a Thea thing. Like, where Thea put the suit on, and it's not that he's putting the suit on to take back over as a Green Arrow. I'm not sure that's what's going to happen during the crossover. Like, he's going to be in the suit, yeah, but I think that's I think it's for the purpose of those episodes only, in the storyline in that episode. And then when he comes back, Diggle's still going to be the Green Arrow. So,
really,
I think so. Either that or something big happens next week.
Yeah,
like
I can see that too.
That's the thing, and that goes back. We were just talking about this on our Inhumans thing. Normally during like the week of like holidays, they don't put shows out. So I wasn't expecting to have a show this week, particularly since Arrow comes out on Thursdays now, which means it's on Thanksgiving. They're putting this episode out on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I thought it would be clear at least for the holidays, but we were wrong.
Yeah, and I've seen the promo for Flash. I'm not watching Supergirl, but we know that apparently they're bringing Mon-El back on Supergirl on that episode, which means they're going pretty big. They're putting Grodd on Legends, so I'm not expecting this Thanksgiving episode to be a throwaway. So it could be something. And matter of fact, if you think about what we saw in the trailer, yeah, it's going to be something big. And so maybe something happens and Diggle's not around. I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see how they handle this, but it's been interesting seeing them go full bore with Diggle as Green Arrow. Like, I appreciate it. So didn't see it coming, and yeah, so
it's a very welcome surprise.
So so let's get into the main event on this one though. Is this nigga Slade? We talked about. I think we talked about this last episode, or I don't know if it was you or if I did it with Rod when we did a recording with Rod. We're now getting flashbacks, but they're other people's flashbacks.
Yeah, and I guess that's fine. It's kind of the DNA of the show. I don't love it.
Oh, you don't like it? I actually liked it because it gave more insight into who Slade was.
I like these individual flashbacks. I don't like that they're doing them in general.
Okay.
For me, it's interesting because you and I talked at the beginning of the season. Now that Oliver's kind of stepped to the left of the spotlight, we get to watch everyone else fuck up in the ways that he has, and your fuck ups mean more when we have the context of the flashbacks. I'm a little bit disappointed that the return of Deathstroke, that the return of Manny Bennett into the series gets us a pretty by the numbers father-son tale.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
Like, they touch on the descent into the Mirakuru when they bring back Shadow for that scene, but it just, for me, it felt like if we're gonna do 2 episodes of Deathstroke, trying to make me care, and watching the Deathstroke half of it is impactful because we've been with this character since the beginning of the show, and we have investment. The actor portraying his son, his quest, journey, growth, descent, whatever matters less because
We
one,
haven't.
we don't have his ties are so shallow compared to Deathstroke's,
Mm.
and two, and not as a knock on him because I don't know if anyone could. He had the chops to pull it off to sell it.
Yeah. What?
And so for me, this is the aspect of the episode that I wanted to like the most because hell, Deathstroke's fun, and then putting Ollie in kind of a support, almost Overwatch role was interesting too. But I couldn't latch onto it.
I think what it might be with the son portion of like with Joseph is we didn't get enough on why he went the route he did. Right? Because they kind of throw it in there when he was like, "Yo, I killed my first person 6 months after I that trip," and it came out of nowhere.
Basically, I learned it watching you, Dad.
Right, but it's like they didn't. It wasn't that believable, I guess, because you didn't get that feeling from the kid. Like you didn't get that. It felt like it came out of nowhere.
Could have added one scene where they're driving back and he just gives his dad a side eye.
Yeah, something.
Seed it some way. Don't just throw it at me and say, "Here, accept this." It's hard for me to do that. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I think that's like I said. I liked the Oliver Slade stuff. I guess his son. Like again, I'm still trying to figure. I guess I'm still trying to figure out what the purpose of his son was. Like what he really wanted. Because it's like he was just like he wasn't just being a killer. He was being way more of a mercenary than we've seen Deathstroke be. Because even Oliver said that about Slade. He was like, you were never this. Like before the Marikuru, you were never just like straight out mercenary like this. Like this guy is like
super extra.
Yeah, he was. He was kind of being super extra. Like he was gonna blow up a water supply. It's just like, dude, you're being a supervillain right now. Like you're not just being like a regular bad guy. You're being super villain bad guy. But I'm wondering if and this will go back to I'm wondering, do you think Joseph will turn up with Black Siren in them and be working with them?
It'd be a great way to bring back Deathstroke for the end of the season.
And not only that, but then I think it would also it would kind of also then make his story make more sense. If this organization, the Jackals are part of some other larger criminal organization that's being manipulated and used to
because they see Deathstroke's son, and that's where they stop their investigation.
Right? Because I'm starting to think that that's kind of what they're doing with this show. This season is they're kind of giving. Not all the characters their own like little arch nemesis or something like that, but they're making sure some of these characters have ties to our main characters. So like, you know, Black Canary's gonna have Vigilante. Felicity has is it Kincaid? What is his fucking name? I can't. I don't think it's Kincaid. Maybe it is Kincaid.
Who's this?
The hacker guy.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm looking up right now.
It hasn't made enough of an impact on me.
Caden James. I keep saying it's Caden James.
Yeah, it's a stupid name.
Yeah, it was something that I didn't want to fucking believe. So, Caden James is tied to Felicity. You can kind of bring Joseph in, and technically you can make Joseph tied to Oliver too, because remember Joseph even said he has a son. I can make him pay too. So they show that you have a way for Joseph to show back up, which is like you said also brings Slade back in towards the end of the season. So I'm wondering if they're not doing something like that where they're kind of trying to tie in all these characters to make the final fight and the final the storylines throughout the season make more sense. And that would make more sense to me then, and then give us more context to Joseph, because like you said, right now we just don't get a lot of context with Joseph, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I would like to see more of that. I will say this. Sometimes you forget how good Oliver is with a gun, because we've been seeing him all the times with an arrow, and Oliver can go John Wick.
It's like every time you see a bad kid pick up a gun in the comics and they're really good with it, you're like, wait a second.
Right. You're just like, oh, just because you guys don't normally use a gun doesn't mean you can't use a gun. Right. fuck.
Huh.
Right.
All right, go carry
Right.
on. Just you guys just all got a degree of scare in my mind, but that's okay.
Right. Like Oliver did the gun, and then he switched to the gun, and then he got to the knife, and he was stabbing people, hitting them, pulling the knife out of the wound of the one person he stabbed, slicing the other person, stabbing them in with the knife, pulling it out of the like. He was just going off, and I'm like, yeah, don't. And then they, and I will say, because it was kind of weird, they never resolve how he takes down the guy who has the detonator. He just shows up later on. That's one of the things I did notice. It's like, cause they kind of get a stalemate. Dude's like, yo, I got my hand on the trigger. I got the bomb right here. What you trying to do? And nothing happens. And then you get later on, Oliver shows up to shoot the sword out of Joseph's hand. I'm like, so wait, but you know what? You're like,
they basically had Ollie just like look at the camera, like, come on, y'all.
Right, right. But that's.
Like this is a sitcom or some shit. Like Zach Morris, like timeout. Y'all know I'm about to do this motherfucker.
But that's actually what happened with me. I was like, man, but how did they get? It's Oliver Queen, of course. Okay, I couldn't even get the whole sentence out of my mouth when I was watching it. Was like, it's Oliver. Yeah, of course. The dude had no like he just killed like 15 people.
Can I say something that's gotten on my nerves that shouldn't get on my nerves that after 6 seasons finally has?
Oh God, what?
No one calls him Ollie.
Wait, does Felicity not call him? Oh, you're right.
She calls him Oliver too.
Man.
I think they used to at the beginning of the season, the series, but not in a long time.
Well, because he's not.
This is Ollie Queen, guys. Like, I don't know, man. I was doing something else, and the show would come back. I was walking back in the room. I heard someone say, "Oliver's gone." I'm like, "You mean Ollie? Just say Ollie.
Just call him Ollie.
Just call him Ollie." But it'd be weird if he came back and was like, Mayor Oliver Queen, just call me Ollie. Like if he just started saying that during interviews, because he's the mayor now, he can rebrand. I'll just rebrand on the fly. Ollie Queen for mayor. Star City used to be Starling City. No one seems to remember that the dead billionaire changed the name of the city because he felt like it. What a weird thing.
Right.
Anyway.
The dead billionaire who came back and was working at a small tech firm.
The dead billionaire who stalked Felicity.
Right.
And then joined the time travel team because he's so distraught over the death of his ex-wife.
There's a lot going on here, folks.
And then came back from the dead.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, folks.
A lot going on.
But yeah, I think this episode was kind of straightforward. It wasn't a lot going on here. I'm more nervous about what's going to happen going forward from here, just because they clean up they cleaned up Diggle too easily, like no pun intended.
Oh yeah.
And so because it's not even another thing too is they didn't even make it seem like he was addicted to it. Maybe he is, but it was like it's just that it was his nerve pain would come back. And so now I'm like, so it wasn't even really addictive. Like I just got all kinds of questions. I have all kinds of questions, and I'm nervous for the future and what they do with this going forward. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, it's straightforward, and I think we will get Manu Bennett back towards the end of the season because I do think Joseph is coming back.
Also, if this is Joe Wilson, like Jericho.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned Grant too.
So was this? So they should have flipped Joe and Grant, and have Grant be Jericho, because Joe is acting quite Grantish.
Yeah, I
this episode.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we'll see, unless Joseph goes and gets Grant and then turn. Like I don't know, we'll see. Because here's the thing. Because here's the thing to remember. Remember when we went to Star City 2047 or whatever the episode was in Listen Tomorrow, there was a Deathstroke character. There was a character in the Deathstroke armor.
It was Grant.
And it was Grant. So.
Ooh, but also we're talking about Joe and Grant. We're talking about someone who can flop bodies. So.
Yeah. So. Well, maybe not in this universe, but we'll see.
Oh, it better be.
Oh, that would explain a lot.
Right.
So, but yeah, so we'll see. And then they finally show. Oh, and we finally saw Little John again. We saw, that kid's growing. He'll be drawing back the bowstring on a bow and arrow soon. So
get him fitted for a tiny hoodie.
Yeah, just. Oh man. So yeah, that's it. Nice and quick and easy and dirty. Nice easy on this one. Remember we're doing a mailbag this week on Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. So get your emails into us, mailbag@mtrnetwork.net before by Tuesday, please. I mean, you can get them in there before then, but we like to have them at least by Tuesday so we can start planning out what we're going to talk about on the mailbag episode. I know there will be plenty of Justice League questions and things to talk about on there. We'll be definitely bringing that up. And then talk, bring your comic recommendations and any comic book stuff you want to talk about. Let us know. I know there's been some major changes in leadership and people at Marvel Comics, so we'll definitely be bringing that up this week. So stay tuned and get the rest of these stuff on Super Tuesday Recap. Search iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, and also keep an eye out on YouTube. Hopefully we'll get some new videos coming out exclusive to YouTube, youtube.com/MTR Network. So, again, folks, thank you very much for listening. Until next time, we're out of here. Peace.